Welcome back to Keeping Up with Data, the podcast where we bring you tremendous guests across the data and AI landscape here in Australia. Today, I'm joined by an amazing person, Tracey Robinson. She's been a pioneer in this space, worked all over the world, but I'll let Tracey do the introduction about herself. So, Tracey, for our audience, tell us a bit about who you are and, welcome.
Thank you, and thanks for having me. So a little bit about me. Well, I'm Tracey Robinson. Yeah. Grew up out in country New South Wales in Australia.
Yeah.
Started my career in policing and criminal intelligence. Then moved into insurance, and later then for the last probably about 12 years I've been completely obsessed and focused on AI, mostly in conversational AI, which took me from Sydney to the United States for the last 10 years. So now I'm back after spending time in, first off, New York, where I worked for AI product companies working on the vendor side. So
amazing.
Had the opportunity to see inside all of these amazing big enterprises that were running through the chatbot era at the time. So this is pre-generative AI.
Yeah.
And then I moved to San Francisco. In the last 5 years, I was working for Wells Fargo as the head of product for digital AI. They're building out their amazing customer-facing product called Fargo. So I got to experience living in enterprise and actually owning and building the product to help customers.
That's amazing. It's obviously, there's so much to unpack there, but, I want to take a step back maybe. So you started in policing and then you transitioned into sort of the data and AI space. Like, how do you make that transition?
I look back on it now and I can see what kind of makes more sense. But at the time, I think I was just like, I kind of fell into things. So when I was in policing, I really joined policing because I wanted to get out of my country town, and I didn't do very well at school because I was a little bit mischievous. And so once HSC time was over, I was like, oh no, I'm stuck here. So the only way I could get out was like, well, I'm going to go join the police. And that will get me to Sydney, because I thought Sydney was the biggest place in the world at the time, right? I grew up in a town with 680 people.
Yeah, wow.
So in policing, I actually had an unfortunate car accident in the police that sidelined me and put me on restricted duties.
Oh, wow.
But then the police trained me to become an intelligence analyst. So that was my introduction to data.
Wow.
And so my job in the police, and then I worked in different strike forces, was looking at all different types of patterns to understand, like, for general duties policing, it was trying to help predict where crime would happen to get police to be proactive versus reactive to crime. But then when I moved into the crime squads, it was like looking at organized crime units and then trying to like gather evidence through analyzing phone data or like looking at trends to see like what's causing particular crime or who are the syndicates and breaking down like who these big crime organizations were. So that was all very policing focused, but you learn fundamentals of like, trends and patterns and cause and effect, right? And then so when I went into insurance, my job was like working at GIO, I was looking at claims trends and whatever, and you start to see, well, what are the things that are causing claims? And it's the same things apply. But the dovetail into AI there was looking at, well, we're all making this analysis based off our human judgment, and there's only so much data we can consume. But, it was around the early time of, the big hype of Watson and chatbots and whatever. It was like, can we augment the claims manager? Can we augment the person in the contact center? Can we create digital experiences so people don't have to call? So you're using the same skills that you took from those previous areas and starting to rethink new applications of ways that we can do business. So I've just sort of like fallen into things as I've gone along. I've met the right people and I've been willing to go, I don't always want to do things this way, like looking at opportunity and trying new things. So, it's kind of, for me, it's like it's like whenever someone says to me, "What's your 5-year plan?" my eyes glaze over, and I'm like, "Who knows?" Like,
who knows? Yeah,
who knows? Like, so
absolutely. No, I can imagine. Obviously, coming from a small town, going to Sydney, working in that space, and picking up all those tools and skills that you learn from being an intelligence officer, but then that transition from Australia to the US, and making that adjustment, like, how was that? Because I know a few of our viewers always are interested to hear what it's like working over there. Talk to me about that dynamic maybe, and how they approach this.
Yeah, there is a real difference.
Yeah.
I found I was fortunate enough that I moved to the States with an Australian startup at the time, which was founded by Dr. Katrina Wallace, who the company's name was the startup's name was Flamingo. Fantastic idea, fantastic product. I truly believe to this day that it was just before its time. But as an Australian startup, like, the Americans love Australians, and they're interested to like talk to us about all the animals that we have here, and it's all the Crocodile Dundee stuff, whatever. But I think what appeals, like a lot of Aussies that get jobs over there, what appeals is because we have this work ethic, and we're willing to pick up more hats or wear more hats than like how work is kind of structured over there. So we're all rounders, and we kind of we don't really say no. Oh, that's not my job. This is my lane, sort of thing. We're go-getters.
Yeah.
What I would say when I moved into a company called IPsoft Amelia, which is now acquired by SoundHound AI.
Yeah.
I was working in New York, right down the end towards Wall Street, and the difference is you have to start to be a bit more bold in the way that you talk about yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and I heard this a lot from Australian startups when they move over there. They'd go in to pitch to VCs, and we don't sell ourselves, and we kind of we don't tell everyone how great we are, because I think we're like self-conscious of being like too loud or tall poppy, right?
Yeah.
But you have to be like that over there. You have to sell your value, and you have to be comfortable with talking to that. And so going back to the company in New York is everyone's positioning themselves, and you have to be able to sell your value. Otherwise someone else is going to take your role. And the other thing that I like is the communication there. Is there's no, you talk about you talk about the issue in the meeting. You don't talk about it outside of the meeting. So you're not wasting time.
Yeah.
And so you got to get very comfortable with very candid conversations. And also everyone is kind of like seeking for dissent in the meeting. And it's not to like can someone else's idea. It's about collectively finding the best answer and the best approach to go forward.
Yeah, right.
So whereas I sometimes feel we can be a little bit passive here, and positive conflict is felt as conflict. So it's like we don't want conflict. So you've got to get very used to like people being really honest with you there and then in the moment. But I like that because you're not left wondering.
No, absolutely. I think, going back to that point, firstly around the Australian market and how we approach hiring, firstly, it is all about those all-rounders. Like we do tend to, like even some of the customers that we deal with, you're looking for someone who has everything in most of the roles that we go to market for. Whereas maybe in different markets, like you mentioned, it is a bit more specialized. So I can imagine when you went to the US and, you could bring all these various experiences, they went, wow, Tracy's going to pick this up and do all these things that aren't maybe on the job description, and then deliver on that as well, which is very interesting to see. But going back to your final point there around, dealing with positive conflict, that's not in our nature. It almost feels like there's a political sort of landscape you sometimes have to be aware of. Otherwise you could sort of ostracize yourself within the business and come off as being too direct or pushy. Is that, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think, I think it's really important, especially if you're a product manager or you're someone that's building products, is you've got to be able to have those environments where you can talk like that with your team without it becoming a personal thing. And it's instead viewed as debate is welcome because it's going to get us to making decisions about our products. That is going to be the best decisions that we can make right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially in the AI landscape is because you're actually on the field playing without like a playbook, right? Because everything is so new, and what you've made assumptions about 3 months ago may dramatically change with different capabilities being released. And so you've got to also have very much like not a I told you so.
Yeah.
Like
that's
everyone's got to be kind of like disagree and commit and let's go forward. I think it's really important, especially in product areas, that you've got to be able to foster those environments where we really need to be able to say, hey, we built this thing and it's not actually that great for our customers. So let's bank it as a learning and let's now figure out how do we bridge that gap. And so it's like an intelligent failure. And one where failure isn't going to be like the tall poppy. Oh, well, do you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
I wonder, like, really when we talk about like tall poppy too, like it is a thing that people talk about here, but like, is it really serving us?
Yeah, I think in this landscape within like technology and AI specifically, right, where you do need to be bold and you do need to make your point clear and almost sell yourself, it kind of holds us back to a certain degree. Because like you said, it's not natural for, in our culture to sort of speak about yourself as, finding a potential solution. You almost want to be passive when you present it. You're like, oh, I've got this great idea, but, I also think your idea is great. And it's all very like just passing the baton onwards, if that makes sense, rather than, saying, you know what, I disagree with this project concept or whatever it is, or this idea going forward, I think is better. Let's trial this. And it's a lot more efficient in that way. And it's holding us back to a certain degree. That's been my observation speaking with people like yourself and other leaders in Australia. It's maybe why we're always a few steps back. Obviously there are other factors, of course, but I don't think it's helping us in this scenario.
I mean, are we robbing each other of feedback?
But potentially, yeah. I mean, I think you're delaying the inevitable.
Yeah.
Like you're slowing down the process rather than addressing it when it comes to the table. You're almost holding back to maintain those internal, maybe political sort of relationships, or you don't want to come off as abrasive or too, too pushy, because that can lead you out of that organization. So it's certainly an interesting journey we're on. And I think what I want to talk about today as well is that customer AI journey, which you mentioned there, for maybe a general audience who doesn't really understand it. Obviously these words get thrown around and it gets lost in the jargon, but what is customer AI and, what's been your experience, dealing with that?
Yeah, sure. So in my experience, when I'm talking about customer AI, I'm talking about the AI enabled products that you as a company are building, so your customers are going to interact with that AI.
Yeah.
And for some people, it may be whether they're calling into the contact center and there's an AI in that contact center that's helping you find the right queue to get in or the person to speak to, or whether it's on an app or your website with, some companies, it's the annoying little chatbot and interface that pops up. And so, for me, it's any time where you're going to be building a product where you're going to be leveraging AI to be serving your customers or not even just serving, coming out to help your customer proactively.
I think we had a discussion about this off air, but, customer AI, with whatever it's your banking app, insurance, assistance, whatever is admin heavy, my experience has been that I almost deflect and try and speak to a person right away.
Yeah.
Just because the current systems and I guess, whatever product is being used at the moment by the major suppliers, it's not very human friendly, and it's almost robotic in its approach. Like, why, like, how do you fix something like that? Or, why, like, how do you adapt customers like myself who have a bad experience dealing with these sort of, I know it's a loaded question, but
I mean, there's so much to unpack with that one.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things is like inherently, we've trained our customers to call, right?
Yeah.
Because we may have these chatbots and agents within these apps or on your website, but if I'm asking it, hey, I need help with whatever, and then it's coming back with, do you need help with whatever, and 5 other selections, I'm already feeling like I'm in this robotic conversation and I'm like on a decision tree on rails. And so I take the time to click through all the things and then it actually cannot handle the nuance of my problem. So now I've wasted 10 minutes on this thing and now I've got to ring the contact center anyway. So it only takes one interaction of that for me as the customer, that the next time I have a problem, I'm not going to bother doing that 10-minute dance. 100%. I'm just going to go straight to the contact center. So I think if, and I'm on a bit of a sabbatical at the moment, so I've had a lot of time. I'm back in the Australian market and some people have interesting hobbies, but my hobbies are I like to test out everyone's customer facing AI because for me, it's a litmus test of who's doing what in the companies, who's doing AI in a great way or who's doing it in a very narrow way and probably got some not great results, right? So, but I think the biggest thing is that you need to understand that just because you build it doesn't mean people are going to use it. And then also, if you're going to build it, you need it to be able to handle the nuance of human beings' problems, right? And so, when we were building Fargo at Wells Fargo, there's so many things that my boss, who he actually also built Erica for Bank of America. So amazing product mind, probably one of the best product people I've ever worked with. And he always used to say it's question and answer. Right? It's not question and all of the 5 related topics that could relate to that. It's like we've got to answer their question, because if I walked into a branch or I called the contact center for the bank and I said, why is my card not working? And you go, card on off, card decline, card, it needs to communicate back to the human in natural language, and it needs to be contextual to what it is that they've asked for. So we've got to get it out of the paradigm. A lot of the team, I've spoken to a couple of product teams around in the big companies, and we're still measuring intents, right? She asked about a card, so we gave her this topical area of card, and it's like she's got to pick what her problem is. Where it's like, no, we need to get into answering questions, and the tech is able to do that now. But what it does is it means you as the product team, and you need to step outside of the organizational silos and you actually need to traverse the customer's experience within the, from end to end, and you got to live in their shoes. And I'll give you an example of one product team that I was talking to here is they're all building this AI agent in the app. But none of them had the app. Really? So they're building blindly for their customers, right?
Just hoping.
So to be more human, you have to fundamentally understand how humans are experiencing the products and services that your company is delivering. You need to understand all the different ways that they're going to come to you and ask you about that problem. And you need to not send them to a menu of topical choices that could relate to their problem. You need to build your AI agents to answer their questions.
Absolutely. Because
otherwise they're going to call.
They're going to call, right? And I think that's a great example, like a human interaction, you would never just give you 5 options based on your question. They would just answer your question. And if you're dealing with maybe, so my parents, for example, if they were to go on the banking app, I mean, they don't bother. They'll just go to the bank directly, right? But the businesses, the product teams, they're trying to negate that or reduce that, whether it's cost cutting and trying to jump on the AI train, whatever it is, trying to rush through that journey. I suppose my question is, you know, for executives who are looking to make this transition, they've maybe not started yet, you know, what's the first step that they should look into if they are going to build something like this for their product, basically?
Yeah. I mean, it does take, it takes a fair amount of time to decide whether you want to build a product that is actually able to like handle a large volume of your customers' queries, because you need to spend a lot of time also looking at your current processes. And figuring out whether some of those need to change before you even build the AI experience. Because just building AI journeys on top of already broken process is just a waste of time and money. So like I remember at Wells, it made us like the product teams would sometimes, I'll give you an example of like credit card limits. A lot of people call because they need to increase their limit and whatever else. But in the deposits team, so customers who had just debit and savings cards, you could do that digitally. But in the credit card area, you couldn't. So like we had to build an experience where one could be handled by Fargo and the other just got sent to the but it drew conversation within the bank around, well, why can't we have both digitally enabled, right? And so it was our team having to walk those journeys, thinking about building things from the customer's lens completely versus the products and services had been built by people in the credit card department, people in the deposits department, then digital just overlaid that. And so it made us rethink, like, are we causing some of these like stops and starts for the customer? And like, could we reduce the amount of people that have to go to the contact center? It might be only for a certain amount increase limit that you can have them self-serve. The rest has to go to a human to do particular checks, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like, I mean, that's just like a very sort of like simple example, but you've got to spend time like first off understanding like, is there stuff that we actually need to change organizationally before we go and rebuild these experiences? The other thing is that you need to this is not a horizontal like tool where it's going to just be in digital. It's going to run across everything because your agent is going to know when it needs to hand you off to a human, and you've got to make that handoff like easy. But you don't want to just throw people straight into the IVR to have to repeat their details again and whatever. So you've got to figure out, so how do we take people in authenticated so they can get to the right queue? And it doesn't feel like, oh, now I'm just here explaining myself all over. Right?
Starting all over. So
these divisions, I used to call them to my boss like lands and territories. Because we were this group within Wells Fargo that was trying to rethink this customer experience. But our job was traverse all these lands and territories, which were the organizational units, and try and get people to start like weaving together. Whereas some people would go, well, I care about the customer when they're in my territory, but when they're gone over to another territory, whatever happens, right? It's
not my problem.
But we've got to stop thinking like that. So we need to think rather than in lands and territories, we have to think globally about the customer. So I would say for like executives that are thinking about building this is you've got to create a model internally on who's going to build this, where it's not just some center of excellence off to the side that has budget to build this, but then they've got to go out and beg for attention from all the areas that they need resources or information or sign off or whatever to build it. And they're knocking on the door and you're basically like this annoying person because they've already booked what they're going to be spending their next 12 months on. And what I'd say is you need to integrate this into the areas so you're also not just building knowledge in one area. You need to be having everybody think about the experience end to end and building AI. So for an example for us at Wells was like we had digital product managers and then we had the AI Fargo product managers and eventually like the way that we build screens and the way that we like build digital products is like you could see them converging eventually in time. Maybe that's a decision for the organization, but like is building traditional app screens and web pages and stuff in the world where we're now moving into like an utterance. You speak to something and it gives you the answer. Like, should we also be training up these digital people to learn how to not only build traditional app screens, but also conversationally driven screens?
It's a good point. I suppose because we've been doing this for so long where you're building across different verticals and this is your problem or your case and you have to deal with it your way and other team, whether it's, like you said, whether it's lending or credit or whatever it is, there's like these different political landscapes you now have to traverse in order for the AI product to actually work correctly.
Yeah.
Because the AI has to sort of cover all the different areas of the business. So it has all the contextual understanding of how different areas work and make that sort of one sort of unit. And I think what we're seeing at the moment is that teething problem, I suppose you could say, where it's, we're building an AI agent for this division and, it's working great, but the other division maybe doesn't want it to be incorporated. And then it's, who's going to run this now new joint product journey. So it's, so it's a tricky one to cover, I suppose, but
it's not easy, right? And that's the other thing is it's like it's hugely complex and look, where I came from, I was extremely fortunate at Wells Fargo, where not only my boss came from Bank of America and built Erica, but his boss as well was from Bank of America and was like the person who really drove Erica to coming into existence. So we had extreme sponsorship, but we also had people who had done it and have seen the benefits of it, right? So I'm not really sure, and this is just my opinion, like looking at, the banks here in Australia playing with a number of their agents, I'm not sure we've hit that level because you're still calling, right?
Yeah.
What is it that you're serving, like able to like retain for me? And you also notice that when you go into some of these apps, they're like hidden in the hamburger menu. And so you've got to like have gone through the app and you're really trying to find help to then go, now I'm going to go look for this thing. So like if you like both Erica and Fargo, which are really good US examples that, I'm actually still also shocked that some of the Australian companies here aren't looking at what other countries are doing and using those as case studies. Because I've been told here a number of times, the Australian public's just not ready for that yet.
Really?
And I'm like, so you're telling me the Australian public loves sitting on the contact center, like listening to that music? Like, or is it just that we haven't shown people what good looks like? So like, it's kind of like, what are we doing?
What are we doing? That's actually a really good example. I don't like, no, personally, I'm ready. I think everyone that I would speak to.
I don't want to call the contact center. I only want to go there if I really, really need it. But if I can do whatever I need to do, whether it's my electricity bills or whatever else, and I can handle it all there and then sitting on the couch, like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, typically what I've found is you just get taken to, if you're trying to find help or questions, they just give you a frequently asked questions page that you get taken to, and it's like, I'll
drop you here and now you read this.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, no, like, why can't you tell me what out of this whole like page document, what it is that I need to know, right? And, but look, to build really good customer facing products, it's hard work.
Yeah.
And it's not just, picking a couple of intents and training around that. The paradigm has changed there.
Yeah.
I think like it was a grind, like building Fargo. It was like, it's unbelievable the amount of ways that people can ask to send $50 to someone, right? But you've got to understand that, right? It's like the humans, there's so much nuance in the way, and especially in financial services where there's no room for error, right? And so, but you've got to be willing to roll up the sleeves and get into that. And, and I mentioned before, I was like working with a product team here but it's like, well, guys, talk me through this experience. And it's like, oh, well, we'll get the customer journey team to go and research that. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
We're going to go and do the journeying. So it's like, there's a lot of outsourcing of thinking.
Yes.
And if you're going to build the really good products, you've actually got to be part of the journey. And what I've found is right from the leadership level, no matter how senior you are, you have to be on the field playing with the teams that are building it because it's so complex and so difficult. Yeah. So I think too, there is a certain way of leading to build these products that you cannot be a leader that just says, here's the budget, go build it, come back with a Confluence page once a week or twice a week and give me a status update.
Yeah, right.
Like, because the teams are playing on quicksand.
Yeah.
And you need to be there with them, guiding and making decisions throughout it. And you're also starting to understand how complex it is yourself. Yeah. To be then able to take it up and communicate upwards, because it is not like a predictable, traditional, technical, digital implementation. You're starting to understand truly how your customers talk and think, and you're figuring out how to answer them.
Absolutely. That's it's especially in this sort of landscape that's evolving so quickly, right? If you're not across it, or if you're not upskilling yourself naturally as an exec, it's all just going to sound like word vomit to you if you're not there in the weeds, like you said, and getting your hands dirty. And then that's where that miscommunication or those failed sort of projects sort of happen. I think there was an example of one of the major banks not too long ago who released a number of engineers because they were looking to automate things, and they build these great chatbots and it was going great. But then the customer, product failed, and then they had to call them all back. And it's, like you sort of shot yourself in the foot by wasting all that time. And maybe there was that miscommunication. I don't know what the actual diagnosis was, but I can imagine something like that where traditional business approaches where you just hand off and you outsource it lead to these sorts of
I think that's too a little bit of like making some upfront assumptions on what you think the benefit of the product that you've built before you've actually had your product out and running. Because there was so many times that even with building Fargo, like the assumptions even I made about a particular feature at the beginning was not what happened once we released it to 27 million customers, right? You saw different things come from that. And so it didn't necessarily fail, but different things happened that I hadn't or the team hadn't anticipated. So what that means is like then you're constantly pivoting to adapting to that massive real-time customer behavior. So it kind of also, you go into these big corporate environments where they want 12-month roadmaps or whatever, is like the roadmap was kind of written monthly to 2-month, and you're constantly just pivoting really quickly. So if you're working and needing to commit to 12 months of we're going to do all these things and give this benefit realization, right? But once you actually release the thing, different things happen and you need to respond to those things. Well, what happened to the 12 months of what you've promised is you've got to go back and say, well, we're not going to be able to get that because now we have to turn left instead of right because we've seen the cut. So we need to have more flexibility in the way that we approaching these things. So where I'm going with that is like, if you've promised that you're going to build this thing and as a result, you're going to be able to release X, Y, Z people.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good example of where what you assumed would happen didn't actually happen when it went into the wild. So it's a bit like it's our version of a Klarna moment, really, was, where Klarna over in the Swedish company, let go, I think, 600 or 700 contact center people because of like Gen AI events, but now they've slowly had them come back because they've realized that the nuance of human conversation is a little bit more complex than what it is. So, I think the whole building these products and, if your number one goal is about cost cutting, then you're probably not building the right features for your customer.
Nice. Love that. I think we'll curtail that segment with that nice little final sentence. But looking forward, trends, maybe predictions, and look, no one's going to hold you to it if if they don't become true. But where do you see this sort of customer AI journey going? Obviously, you spoke about some great examples like Erica at Bank of America and what you did for Fargo as well. Like, is that the way forward, or are there some other nuances that you're maybe seeing now?
I do think in banking, I think where Bank of America, even Capital One, Wells Fargo, I'll just use those as examples are going, is they're starting to understand that we need to make it easier for people to understand their finances. And it's more about helping people be more financially healthy. Yeah. And so, traditionally you can open up your banking app and you've got to go in and out of your accounts and you're doing math yourself, right? You're trying to go, how much did I spend here and there? And it's about using AI and speaking in very natural terms to someone. So having an AI assistant there that's saying, hey, you've overspent by X, Y, you may overdraft, or like giving you those warning signs is where it's going to go. Yeah. And it's about being able to aggregate a whole bunch of your banking, like your spending, your income, giving you insights, and then giving you the so what about that. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And your ability to ask and talk back in natural language. Yeah. Because, financial literacy varies across like populations. So I think, we have to go to a place where it's a lot easier. And I think we'll see a lot more of conversational interfaces within, whether it's banking or if it's telco and wherever else, anyway, that we're trying to get rid of all of that really confusing banky speak type information so people can just get about their life a lot easier. Absolutely. And if you compound that with now looking at like the surge of generative AI in 2022, I think I saw, like, last stats I looked at is ChatGPT. There was like 700 million people in the world, a monthly or weekly users, right? Yeah. So people are getting very, very used to using these tools where they're talking naturally at it or putting it on, speaker and talking to it and then having this to and fro conversation and it's bringing back all this UI and information to you, right? Yeah. So, when people say the Australian public isn't ready for great customer facing AI, I kind of laugh because I'm like, yeah, well, they're over there doing it on whether they're using Gemini, Claude, whatever else. It's like people are conversing with machines in this way now. Definitely. So we've got to figure out how we bridge that gap. And we also need to figure out, like when people start building their own agents to go, I don't want to deal with my bank or telco or my utilities or whatever because I just have a brain scramble whenever I open up the app and I don't know where to go and find things. They'll start building agents that can go and do it for them. Literally, right? So we've got there has to be a gap bridged there. And so, like my prediction isn't about would be, you can't stay in the chatbot era.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll just become a waste of resources within any company. You are going to have to reimagine the customer experience and do so. And everyone's got a phone in their hand. If you only walk out on the street out here, and what's everyone got? It's like the extension of the thumb.
Literally.
So I think we're competing with the big generative AI players in terms of UI, because they're setting the standard for what it should
ease
be. Of use.
Yeah. It's funny you bring up that point around, the Australian public not being ready for like customer facing AI. I'm pretty sure, and part of the reason why OpenAI is opening an office here is because we're one of the major users as a population. I don't know if it's top 5 or I'm pretty sure it's like top 5 in the world in terms of population adoption of either Claude or OpenAI. I could be wrong, so don't hold me to that. But that was, part of the reason why they were like, we need to have foot on the ground in Australia. So it's sort of, I know across our office, across, the candidates and clients I speak to daily, everyone is using some form of, LLM to help with their daily tasks. So,
and that's awesome.
Yeah.
But I think, when I hear that comment, I've heard that comment twice talking to pretty senior digital leaders in some of the big brands here.
Yeah.
And although I've heard it from them, I don't actually believe it, because I can guarantee you, if you sit down with your friends on the weekend and say, would you prefer to call a contact center? Or would you prefer to be able to do everything by just talking to it? And say it's safe. Remove all of like the talking about, digital safety blah, blah, blah.
All that, privacy,
I don't know. Like for me personally, sitting on a contact center is below the joy line.
Bane of my existence. No one likes to do. Like you
put that admin off, like when you have to call, and so you go, I'll put that's at the bottom of the to-do list.
I've got to call the ATO, I've got to call this, I've got to call my utilities bill. It's like, I'll do that on a Friday, and you get to Friday and you don't do it, so you just delay it and you delay it.
And then it just sits. One of those admin tasks hangs over you. But like, this is where I think people deserve that friction removed, and I don't think it's all it takes is some different thinking and commitment, and it takes I don't think I think we have the resources to do that. I hear a lot about we need to get talent from overseas and whatever else. And whilst I do think that's great, but I think we need to start building the capability here. And the only way to do it is to start doing it. So, like the team that built Fargo, like when we started, I remember, none of them had ever built anything like this before. Some people had never, ever built a digital product and put it into production, let alone say, you're going to build something. It's going to be the first for the bank, and it's going to be to 27 million customers. So the thing is like, you've got to take that learning journey. And a large part of this whole AI adoption that's happening with the enterprises is, you've got to lean in and learn. Like just giving everyone Copilot or ChatGPT is not like, yes, it's some part of like learning, but like some of the things you're going to do is by actually building. And then they become AI practitioners who have actually built something. They've gone through. It's not just a POC or a pilot. You've built something that's now out into production, and you're learning how to maintain that, and you're learning how to react to customers. It's an amazing skill to have within your organization, and they'll learn product thinking, and they'll learn how to, continually operate in uncertainty, which I think are great skills for where we're heading in the future. Is like long gone the predictable 2-year roadmap, the whole like 2030 plans. I get that you need a North Star, but it's kind of like,
it's not realistic, is it?
I mean, imagine the 2025 plan that people wrote in 2020, and then like generative AI comes in. Like, it's just sort of like, I think it's shorter cycles now, and it's saying, hey, we once thought this and now we've got here, and it's okay to be flexible.
To be flexible.
Yeah. I hate the word pivot at the moment. So like, I think you've got to like be flexible, like, and because it's constantly ebbing and flowing and adapting. And adaptability is another like skill that we need to be really training the muscle of the workforce.
Yeah, absolutely. Tracy, we'll sort of wrap it up there, but I just want to leave it with just a few tips. Obviously, you've had, quite the amazing career development from, coming from a small town in country New South Wales to joining the police to working in the biggest domains across the globe, New York, San Fran. Now you're back in Australia. If you had to give tips or insights to maybe aspiring data scientists, engineers, AI specialists, really, what are some 3 key things they should do with their careers? Or
I would say you've just got to keep upskilling and learning. Like, you wake up every day and you'll hear about a new model has dropped or a new capability has dropped. So the thing is, complacency will be your Achilles heel. You have to keep adapting, learning, playing with the tools, and actually getting hands-on. And so I would say those are the biggest things. It's like, you're never going to know it all, and how you did something in one organization is going to be similar but not the same in another. So you need to constantly be adjusting and figuring out. But if it's I'd say one of the most important messages for especially product managers and those that are aspiring to get involved in AI is find a problem that's actually worth solving. Don't be armed with a tool in search of somewhere to place it in the organization. You will do extremely well and learn a lot if you actually find a really valuable problem to solve. And be relentless, because it's going to feel like you're failing one minute, and then next minute you're going to be like, yes, we've had a breakthrough. And that's how it feels when you're really building products at scale.
Absolutely. Find the problem, then deliver the solution. Love that. All right, well, we'll wrap it up there. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, Tracy. It's been amazing. And looking forward to maybe having you back on in a year when it's all changed again.
And you'll see how wrong my prediction is. All right. Maybe, I don't know.
We'll see how we go.
Awesome.
But no, awesome.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks.